this is Matthew Elliff again, going to just briefly talk about the Apple event that happened on September the 12th, real quick. Get a little bit kind of a highlight summary of it. If you need more info, you can always watch the thing, and there's a bunch of good articles on Ars Technica. I kind of refreshed myself on that have a lot of info too, which I guess maybe we could try to find them, link to them again. There were a few of them. It kind of opened with a video. Well, of course, everything's pre-recorded now. They don't have any actual people, like no audience like they used to way back when. It's pre-recorded now, which is good for audio description because it airs right away, like as you're watching it. Before, you'd have to wait, an hour or so before it to get uploaded, then it would be there. But now, since it's all done in advance, you can it's all described as it's airing, which is wonderful. For the things that need to be talked about and such. A lot of transitional scenes get talked about that wouldn't have been there otherwise. It opened up with just a video about just the different ways that Apple Watches have, saved people's lives and such.
Sir, let me measure your heart.
Kind of just a thing about that. And then basically Tim Cook, he was highlighting what we discussed about that, what was going to be talked about. He's, of course, heads Apple currently. Just gave a brief summary about the different Macs that came out in June. Various ones in the line there. And talked about those. There were some glasses that came out, Apple Vision Pro, that will be out next year. He kind of talked about them again. That was all in WWDC, which maybe I'll talk about next year, next June. Will be a lot of things to talk about usually in those. Those are a little more interesting than these are, but more about the operating system and things, but perhaps next June. We'll see. And they're going to go to Apple, talking about Apple Watch. The other people, I didn't write them down. There's different heads of various departments and things that gave presentations about these things. They introduced the Apple Watch Series 9, which is the new watch now, and pricing and stuff. You can go to the website. I didn't write those down. Apple.com will have all of the pricing info and such. Now they're out now, but I'll go over everything. There's a new S9 chip in there for faster processing and different things like that. Now any Siri requests are processed on the device. This goes for all of these devices. They call it machine learning. It's basically AI. It's a fancy word for AI, basically. And I have been testing the beta, and the phone is a lot faster now, I think. iPad I really can't tell, but the phone seemed quicker. I don't have any watches to check, so I don't know for sure about those, but I assume they're faster as well. You'll be able to ask Siri on the Apple Watch about health data later in the year. That could be useful for people if they want to check their heart rates and such, and get obviously summaries of what how they've been doing and such. They have like a name drop thing that you can now do, and the HomePod will detect these things if you're near them. They're kind of like their version of the Amazon Echo. I've seen one, but I have not gotten to play with one. But I have seen a HomePod, the mini version, at someone's house. But they're doing some more things with that. Basically, more things about the display being a lot brighter, and it will really dim down for darkness and stuff. We don't disturb people while you're sleeping or in a movie or something. It'll dim the display a lot. There's a new gesture for the watch. They're calling it double tap, and apparently you double tap your index index and your thumb together twice. And you can control phone calls and different things like that. They had a big video about people doing that with different things, different tasks and alarms and such. I don't know how they're hoping people will use it all the time. I don't know how well it's going to be because I don't have one to check that gesture, but they were very much highlighting that. There's different enclosure colors, I believe, were going to be I'm not sure if this is necessarily bands or what. It was hard to tell. My brother said it was for the bands, but it was pink, starlight, midnight, and red for the titanium cases. And then it's going to be gold, silver, and graphic for the stainless steel ones, apparently. There's some new enclosures for the watch, that some lighter titanium and such for different models now. Then there was a video about being carbon neutral.
Just throwing another tire on the fire for global warming, Mr. Krabs.
Octavia Spencer shows up as a cameo as Mother Nature and is grilling them about different things. And they give some factoids. I'll list a few of them. Kind of a strange fluff piece, but she did a good job in it, I guess, Octavia Spencer. I had to think what she'd been in, but she did a good, for what it is, did a good job. And the people were acting like they were in a meeting. I'm not sure how that was done for sure, but they did okay. By next year, there won't be any more plastic in the packaging of their products. They're using recycled aluminum for their Mac enclosures that house the computers and other devices. Will now be the recycled aluminum on those. No longer using leather for iPhone cases. It's got a thing called fine woven. Don't know much about that. Apparently it feels like suede. Using 100% clean electricity, apparently. They're going to ship more by ship instead of on airplanes. Not sure if that will how that will affect shipping. If it'll be maybe a little more of a delay, I don't know how that works for sure. But they're going to do more shipping than aircraft for, I guess, for the fuel and such. Supposed to have all the carbon neutral devices by 2030. I think they're supposedly on track for that. I'm not sure, but it's hard to know for what's really happening. What they say, it's take that for what it is. Smaller packaging for the Apple Watch. I guess they can pack more into containers and such with the smaller packaging. You can ship more products to and from places. We just talked about the fine woven material. Then it went to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. They had one last year that was for like scuba diving and such. They put out another version of that called the Ultra 2 for the watch brands. New watch face, getting more about the brighter display, kind of like the other watch has. I think they all have 36-hour battery life and 72 hours in low power mode. That didn't change, I guess, from last year. Same battery. I think on all of the phones. Same chip as the Apple Watch has. And there'll be an SE2 Apple Watch as well. Didn't really go into any detail there. Just, I guess, a smaller version of the Apple Watch. Don't know much about that one. The watch should be out tomorrow. All of them, I believe. It's the 21st now, it'll be the 22nd, so they'll be out tomorrow. All of the products will be out tomorrow. You can pre-order them, but they're out to actual buy places tomorrow. So if you want to get in line, go ahead. Or you can go online and order them, I suppose, too. Then it goes to the iPhone 15. The Pro had the dynamic island last year. Now it's on the regular phone itself now. I have not gotten to see what that is like, but I guess you can display other things there. I've not seen what that looks like. I think I might have looked at the phone, maybe, but I didn't do too much with it. I don't know if I looked at the phone. I might not have looked at the phone at all. I can't recall, but I have not gotten to see how this dynamic island works yet. But I haven't heard a lot about it either from blind users, so I'm not sure how they're getting on with it. There's a new brighter OLED display again, just similar to the other products. 6.1 inch screen, and there's an iPhone Plus. They have the what was that again? I lost it. 6.7 inches, which I think is the same for the Pro and Pro Max lines later, but I believe it's the same screen on those. I'll check myself. New pink, yellow, and green and black colors for the phones. 48 megapixel camera. So which, better the camera, the better it is for even like pictures or identifying, things in your house or writing where you might need if you need to do anything like that. The more camera, the better it's going to do that. So people might like to know, might think about that. I can take 24 megapixel photos now. Tons of stuff about the camera, more than I can understand myself. Not using a camera, but there's lots of detail there that they go into. The camera's going to go into portrait mode if it sees a photo of your dog or a person or people. It will go out of portrait mode or landscape mode into portrait mode to take a better picture of that, so it looks better. Improvement in the night mode, which my brother uses that quite a bit, so he likes night mode on his iPhone. Improve the brightness mode on it, more, that kind of thing. Same chip as the iPhone 14 Pro from last year, so they put that Pro chip in this. So it should increase the speed there on things. They've improved the noise canceling on phone calls. I guess it really isolates your voice. I've never used that, but they showed a video of someone doing that apparently. I hope they were. It's hard to know in a video, but they did show that being used in a video. They introduced the emergency SOS in the iPhone 14 line last year. That has now been expanded out to Roadside Assistance, and AAA here in this country will have that first. There'll be members and non-members can get it. I'm not quite sure what all the particulars are about that, but it is available. You can just send a text message, and you can let people know that you're broke down or whatever, and they'll send someone out to you. Before you could just text people where you are, but you can do roadside stuff. I'm pretty sure they'll expand that out later to other things. I have no doubt, but that's what they're doing with it now. I forget what company they're using for those. I've drawn a blank on that company's name. Yep, I said that. Yeah, it's here in the U.S. first, as I said, with AAA. I think it'll go out to other countries. I know the other satellite stuff is going out to other countries pretty quick. I think Spain was this month or something like that, but we're rolling out of just the regular service. But the roadside will start here and then it'll get rolled out as time goes along. Be free for 2 years on a 15. It was that way on the 14. I'm not sure what it will cost after 2 years. I don't know if they've said, or at least I don't know what it is. Because the 14 just came out, so we don't know as of last year. So they would still be in that 2 year free time. So I don't think they've announced what that would be otherwise, but could be useful if you are in places where there's not all good phone reception. You might want to look into that, especially for a vehicle. I would think. They're now using USB-C like a lot of things do instead of the lightning connection.
You're finally getting USB-C charging?
What? How did you know?
That would be good for, I think, in the long run, since you can just get a cable no matter where you are. Don't have to get an iPhone cable. You can get, anything from a gas station or Walmart or wherever that would have USB-C cables. So you can just grab a cable and replace your cable that broke or sort it out or whatever. If you are traveling or just any use, you can get a USB-C cable. They will have their own cables, but you can just get other cables as well. And there's a lot of third-party people that make cables currently, but they'll make these as well, I'm sure. It'll charge everything, iPod and the AirPods Pro and all those different things you can charge with these cables. I think you can maybe do multiples. I'm not quite sure. That was a little bit vague. I don't, description can only give me so much. And if there's talking, they don't really tell you. And I couldn't tell much from articles I read either about that particular part. You can use the Qi chargers as well, and those MagSafe ones that are magnetized. They can clip onto the back of the device. I've got a battery that does it. Never quite gotten how to use it very well, but all kinds of different charging options basically is what they were trying to say there. Then we go to the Pro and Pro Max parts. Those are a little different slightly. Tim Cook came back to talk about that, and of course he tossed it off to others after, but gave a kind of overview of what those were going to be. New lighter titanium enclosures for those. I'm curious to know what that feels like. I'll have to go and check that out somewhere. Same 1.6.1, 6.7 displays as the other two phones, so that's not any different. Right now, on my phone, I have a ring and silent switch that you just switch on and off. They're now making a side button there. You can press it and hold it. It will go to ring or silent, but you can also customize this for anything, basically, like accessibility shortcuts like VoiceOver, I would think, or you could anything you could set that to. I guess you could start and stop things, or voice memos, and probably timers. Basically anything. Pretty much my understanding is the sky's the limit on what you want to customize that to do. So that would be kind of interesting. I wouldn't mind knowing more about that and what that does. I'll have to go look at least what it looks like. But lots of options there for customizing. What if in theory you could have VoiceOver being turned off in two places instead of one? I don't know how that works, but lots of options there. Could be interesting. My brother's kind of excited about that, and I might be, as time goes, if I get a new phone at some point, to use that. There's a new X17 Pro Chip in in these phones there. There's a USB-C, and you can get a USB 3 cable. I think that's my understanding. I think there's be 2 and 3 cables you can get to use USB-C for these phones. A little different than the regular models. You can use that little faster transfer between things with the Pro and Pro Max line. Lots about gaming, new processors there. More than I understand about refresh rates and drawing things on the screen, and I don't really understand all of that because I don't use gaming visually, so I don't really understand a lot of that. But it's all in the keynote. You can watch it or read about it as well. Apparently, you can now play console games on these, like Resident Evil 4 coming out, Resident Evil Village, things like that will be available to play on your phone, on these Pro phones. Apparently, I don't know what that is like. Apparently, it looks pretty good from what I have understood from things I've at least glanced at. But obviously, I can't see well, so I can't really do any of that. I don't know, my brother would play any console games on his phone like that. He usually goes to the computer and plays them, or goes to a console. But you can play actual console level games on these. They made a big deal about that and had different game developers on talking about it. So that's quite a thing they were buzzing about at that section of the keynote. There's a more same 48 pixel camera. I do have a little bit about the lenses on these. Seem like the same 24 megapixel photos, or again, there's a 3x telephoto lens on this one, 77 focal length on the Pro end. What was the other end here? Yeah. The Pro Max is going to have a 5 megapixel camera with a 128 focal length on that lens. So quite a bit there on that. I'm not quite sure what that exactly does for a camera, but and you can now transfer videos to an external drive with these two phones, which you can't do otherwise. So they are, I guess, really trying to get the film people and movie people to use this for different things. There'll be a new spatial video thing you can use on these for the Vision Pro goggles out next year. Like something about stereo video. I'm not sure what's that exact. I guess it's stereo video, but I guess on stereo video meaning the two lenses I guess, working together. I'm not quite sure what that would look like. It's really only people that got to see these so far were at the Worldwide Developer Conference in June. You could get some time with them. People were pretty amazed by those things, but you can, I guess, you take some video and put them on your goggles and look at them. And I'm not quite sure exactly what that will do for sure. Later this year, I guess you can have this capability. Obviously, the goggles are out in next year at some point. Of course, next Friday for this Friday for that, both of these as well. A couple new iCloud plans launched, a 6 terabyte and 12 terabytes. I think $29 a month for the 6, and I forget what the 12 was. More than I want to pay. I upped my to the 1 terabyte plan a while back, but I wouldn't pay quite that much for those unless I had I guess if I had a family or something. Could be worth the investment. And he just came back to summarize it again. And that was basically the extent of it, but it's a few different things, not tons. It just, more of the big stuff is in June, but they kind of, they used to always do the phones in June, but they have kind of delayed some of these other things off to later on, like in the year. Sometimes they'll talk about AirPods. They did talk briefly about, I think, AirPods briefly. Just there's going to be a USB-C case for them. They're going to have a USB-C version of those. But yeah, that was kind of that in a nutshell. Obviously, if you want more, you can watch the thing itself and read about it and catch the description if you'd like. You can enable that on the web. There's a toggle for it. You can enable it on Apple devices, or if you go into accessibility, there's a setting called audio descriptions. You just turn that on and it should come up talking to you. Not everything will respect that, but most apps will respect that. It'll just start talking. Otherwise, you can go and enable it. But I got left from work and it was just talking me through the last half of the event. But on the computer, I just went and enabled it right as it was starting, and it came up. So, and it played back to me also the next day. I wrote up some notes and things, and it came right up and talked. I didn't have to enable it. So I'm guessing there's a cookie that got enabled, so it should maybe stay on for other events, perhaps, at least on that video anyway. But it is there now. They did a good job. I don't know who the narrator was. I recognized him, I think, from some of the Apple TV Plus trailers. I don't know who wrote it. They never give that information. So, but I believe it's the same company that does the Apple TV Plus, which should be Deluxe. For that, or no, well, it's a subsidiary of Deluxe called Pixelogic Media, and I think they have another one called Point 360 that does Hulu stuff. So a lot of the same narrators. Some guys will do multiple companies. So that's basically that in a nutshell that I can think of. That should be all there's to say about that. But obviously, keep watching the videos and liking and subscribing to them on the channel. And you can go to apple.com / I think Apple events to go look at these. The presentation there and a bunch of other ones, or you can also get there from the main page. Or you can just search Apple event 2023 or something like that. It should come up. And Ars Technica is where I found some info more in depth about it. There were about 2 or 3 articles, one on each thing. So they broke it down into the different sections and wrote summaries, and I think there's probably some pictures there as well of everything. But that's all for the moment.
Blind Community Thrift Store logo appears. Subscribe now. To learn more about the Blind Community Thrift Store, visit www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.